tweet or your Facebook post can get you arrested. Over the past few days, Balasaheb Thackeray has been hailed as a rare politician who spoke his mind no matter what. It is only ironic that in his death, 2 girls have been arrested for a crime that's now being termed as Bal Thackeray's biggest virtue, speaking their mind. The big blow to free speech has sparked a massive outrage and made Maharashtra Home Minister seek a report from his corpse.
Shine, can you just say
Just leave. Freedom of speech is under attack, and here's the proof. 21-year-old Shaheen Dhada and her friend were arrested under the draconian provisions of the Information Technology Act. Their crime? Publishing a Facebook post that spoke about the total shutdown that took effect after the Shiv Sena Supremo's demise. And that's not all. Angry Shiv Senics went on an absolute rampage, threatening the family and ransacking the girl's uncle's clinic in a nearby locality.
People interpret, that depends.
But how do you interpret it, sir?
I don't want to interpret it now. Yes, thank you. Please.
But you've suffered heavy losses, sir?
Yeah.
So, irreparable or...
Maybe it's a financial loss, that's all. Not irreparable.
नहीं, पाबंदी ऐसा कुछ नहीं. फेसबुक में कमेंट्स करो, लेकिन अच्छे कमेंट्स करो कि जिसके दूसरों को मन को ठेस न लगे. ऐसा उसमें ऐसे पाबंदी लगाने को उसमें ये नहीं उसमें.
And here's the post that led to the arrest. The girl Shaheen Dhada wrote and her friend Renu Srinivasan got punished for just liking the post. The law that was invoked to do it is Section 66A of the Information Technology Act, amended by the UPA2 in 2008, and it calls for 3 years in jail for posting information that is offensive or has menacing character. On the flip side is if a writer of the defamatory tweet is charged with defamation. Then defamation will have to be proved in court and the person won't be arrested right away.
Secondly, why the government should act and put a section which is concerned only with religious sentiment is very difficult to understand. What kind of pressure is the government under? And what has this got to do with religious sentiment? It's just some young people expressing an opinion against the Bandh.
जब तक प्रॉब्लम इस धारा 66 में आप सॉल्व नहीं करेंगे, ये धारा 66 एक टूल बनता जाएगा लोगों को के बरखिलाफ दुरुपयोग करने के लिए. और खासतौर पर अगर आप 2 व्यक्ति अपने प्राइवेट फेसबुक वॉल पर कुछ लिख रहे हैं, उसका ताल्लुक लॉ एंड ऑर्डर से मुझे कोई सामंजस्य स्थापित नजर नहीं आता.
And it's not the first time it's been misused. This is the 3rd arrest over posts online. On October the 30th, a businessman was arrested for tweeting against the finance minister's son Karti. On April the 13th, a Jadavpur University professor was arrested over a supposedly anti-Mamata cartoon. All a classic example of the misuse of the IT Act that activists have been crying foul about.
But this was not an isolated case that happened in Palghar. In fact, a similar case cropped up in Vasai Manikpur area. However, the Shiv Senics did not register a case as the family apologized and withdrew the comment. With cameraman Sai Prasad Patil in Palghar, Vidya for Headlines Today.
Absolutely outrageous for this young girl to be arrested over such an innocuous tweet. And now Justice Katju, former Supreme Court Judge and Chief of the Press Council of India, has shot a very angry letter to the Maharashtra Chief Minister calling for suspension of the cops who arrested the girls. He writes, and I quote now, "To my mind, it is absurd to say that protesting against a bandh hurts religious sentiments. Under Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech is guaranteed as a fundamental right. We are living in a democracy, not in a fascist dictatorship. This arrest itself appears to be a criminal act since under sections 341 and 342, it is a crime to wrongfully arrest or wrongfully confine someone who has committed no crime. I request you to immediately order the suspension, arrest, charge sheeting and criminal prosecution of the police personnel." I'm now joined in the studios by one of India's leading cyber law lawyers. Pawan Dugal is joining us. Thank you very much, Mr. Dugal, for joining us. Before I chat with Pawan, I want to take our viewers through this Section 66A of the IT Act. It's a fairly new act, came about only in 2008. The UPA government brought it, and it is this act that has now been invoked twice over to arrest people. You know, it was in the Mamata Banerjee case where a professor of Jadavpur University was arrested for a cartoon that apparently took a dig at Mamata Banerjee. Then there was the Ravi Srinivasan case. He was arrested for putting out a tweet against Karti Chidambaram. And now, Section 66A. Let me just take you through what it says. Any information which a person knows to be false but for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, insult, injury, criminal, intimidation, enmity, hatred or ill will persistently makes by making use of such computer resource or a communication device shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years and with fine. Pawan, when I go through this, I shudder to think that any of us, including me, could be arrested any day for what we are putting up on Twitter or Facebook.
Section 66A is a very convenient handle that's been given for potential abuse. And that's bound to happen. We're only scratching the tip of the iceberg. Every day, thousands of people are committing offences under Section 66A when they tweet or when they go on social media. The question is, the problem
but it's not an
is
offence, it's my right. I have the right to say what I want. What did this young girl say?
Exactly.
Let's call that graphic up on the screen once. People like Thackeray are born and die daily, and one should not observe a bun, she says. She says you shouldn't observe a bun because people like Thackeray are born and they die daily. Now, I mean, if you look at my Twitter handle, I said some stuff which was very similar to this. Anybody can be arrested. It's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. In fact, Section 66A is one of the most draconian sections under the Indian IT Act after amendments. And these draconian sections can be abused by anyone. Now tell me, if somebody calls B a fool on the electronic medium, that B can actually get a case registered against A under Section 66A, because any information that you send using a computer resource which is false but has been sent.
No, but how is this false? It says over here that this must be false. How does this young Shahid Dhada girl know that this is false? It's not false, it's her opinion. She has the right to express it.
I completely endorse the thought process that she has exercised her freedom of speech and expression under Article 19, and this arrest per se does not fall within the ambit of 66A. In fact, the prosecution is going to have a huge challenge ahead, trying to prove how does it come within the parameters of this.
Because you scarred a young girl.
Oh, yes.
And what's even more appalling is that another person who just pressed the like button also got arrested. That is unbelievable.
This is absolutely not done. If you are going to like or dislike something, it's nothing but an expression of your freedom of speech and expression. You cannot be arrested. And if 66A is going to be interpreted in the manner that is currently being done, I am afraid we are going towards the dark ages, because this is a tool that's going to be abused by the mighty and the powerful to shut down all kinds of criticism.
Is there any thought within the government to try and change this?
There is immense thought process already gone to the government. Please have a look at this particular legislation. Let's review this. The kind of parameters that you've given is very huge and wide, and that you need to further narrow down the perspectives. But till now, we've not seen any information from the government.
Because it suits the government. The likes of, say, Karti Chidambaram, when they feel that they've been attacked by people incorrectly, can have the state machinery act against another young person, have him arrested. And now, because let's look at what the cops are saying. The cops are saying that there would have been a danger to this girl because the Shiv Sainiks were getting all agitated, and therefore it was imperative that to protect this girl, she be arrested and detained. She wasn't detained, she was arrested, and that's just the most unbelievable explanation.
I don't think there's anybody who can buy the logic of that explanation. The fact is, if you have arrested somebody or charged somebody under 66A, you will have to prove those parameters. Now, how are you going to prove some parameters that what statement has been said is false, but has been said for the purposes of causing annoyance? If your freedom of speech and expression is causing annoyance to anyone, let it be, because the Constitution allows you so. Only some reasonable restrictions can be given in the interest of sovereignty.
So what should people do? Because they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter all the time. You never know what might be considered blasphemous, and this is not public in that sense. She's posting it on Facebook only to the limited group that are her friends on Facebook.
I think people need to be more careful. This is a country where the IT Act looks very, very simple. It's one of the most draconian pieces of legislation, and if you get stuck under 66A, it's going to take you years to get out of it. Now, if you're powerful, if you are in power and you are having money or clout, no problem, 66 will come to your way. But a common man, 9 out of 10 times,
girl, she'll have to fight her case herself.
Next 5-6 years, it's going to be trauma for her, and she will have to face the entire criminal proceeding, which I think is appalling. And more importantly, it's a message going out to the large people who are the Twitterati and the social media netizens. They will have to be very, very clear. You will have to be very careful till such time this section 66A is either not repealed or it's not amended, or if it is narrowed down. And unfortunately, the government has given no kinds of guidelines to the police to have a uniformity of approach. So if you are in Tamil Nadu,
for example, if you see some of the posts that have been put out by Arvind Kejriwal or Subramaniam Swamy, etc., for good or for bad, whether they're true or incorrect, they're far more defamatory than what this young girl posted. Just because she can't make a massive racket and there won't be no public anger, therefore the cops act against her, whereas Subramaniam Swamy or Kejriwal can say what they want and get away with it. If the law is to be applied, section 66A would apply much more in those cases, wouldn't it?
It would completely apply to those cases. The question arises is, where is the political will? You will not uniformly implement section 66A. It will be done selectively according to the selective convenience of the powers that be. That's the reason why if a normal person goes and tries to register a case under 66A, the policeman turns him away. If it's somebody who is in power or who can manipulate the state machinery, 66A becomes a brilliant tool for potential abuse.
What were they thinking? This Information Technology Act was formulated in 2000, it was amended in 2008, came into force in 2010. So it's not like the Telegraph Act of 1885. This is a very new act. What was the government thinking?
Can you believe it? The IT Act of 2000 and the amendments of 2008 were both passed without discussion in both the houses of parliament. And that's thanks to some clear, or shall I say, clever legislative drafting, that we have these kinds of provisions. Initially, these provisions were aimed basically to protect the reputation of people. But now we are finding that these provisions are being used to silence out genuine, valid criticism and people's genuine freedom of speech and expression.
I just want to call that graphic once again on the screen. This is what that young girl said. People like Thackeray are born and die daily, and one should not observe a ban for. This is just her opinion. She's not calling Mr. Thackeray names. She's not spewing venom like Mr. Thackeray did on certain occasions, like other politicians have done in the past. She's just putting out her opinion, and she's been arrested for this.
The moral of the story is that you will have to be careful the next time you put your opinion, because still.
But that's unconstitutional. Why should I be careful? If I want to say what that girl did was right and what the police have done is wrong, that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it.
You are perfectly entitled to. But the question is, you have this extremely draconian provision of 66A. Who knows? You are Rahul, so you may not be arrested because you are a media celebrity. But let somebody else take the stand that you're doing, and the chances of police putting up this section against the guy cannot be ruled out. So till such time, this law does not change.
What can citizens do to try and get this law changed?
Citizens need to raise their voice that this kind of provisions of law are unacceptable.
But who listen to them then, sir?
Well, the government will have to listen to the power and the voice of the people.
Is there an online petition that people can sign up on?
Currently, no such petition is
somebody
online.
Should, I hope somebody watching this broadcast thinks of it and comes up with it. I, for one, will sign it. I hope you will too.
Absolutely. And more significantly, somebody should go and challenge the constitutional validity of section 66A.
It can be challenged in court, and someone should do that.
Anybody can do it. Any citizen of the country can do it. But unfortunately, at the time when we are talking, we don't yet.
Why don't you do it? You're a lawyer.
Well, this could be a potential option to do that. Definitely.
You must. I insist, in fact, that you take this up on behalf of everybody who's watching and others who are aghast now, because everybody is on social media and they're expressing their opinion. Now they're concerned that they can be arrested. There have been 3 cases. Mr. Dugal, I urge you to take this up. Can you please promise our viewers that you will go to the courts and challenge this?
Well, all I can promise is, definitely as a lawyer, I'm going to fight to the extent that this particular provision of law needs to be rationalized, needs to be extremely narrowed down.
And you will go to court to have it struck down?
I will assist any kind of a client coming to me, because as a lawyer, I'll be entitled to fight litigation lawyer for clients. But any client coming to me, I'll be happy to take this to court, and let's go and challenge the constitutional validity. And I gather that we have substantial grounds to get it struck down, because imagine the restrictions on freedom of speech that section 66A has actually clamped down upon are not even present in the Constitution. Constitution say the state can actually put reasonable restrictions on the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression in the interest of sovereignty or integrity of India, security of the state, friendly relations with other nations, or to prevent the incitement of any commercial offence. None of these parameters are currently under 66A. So if I find your speech inconvenient or harassing or something that's bound to cause some kind of enmity or ill will or hatred, I can go to the police and try to get your speech.
This is deeply disturbing. I hope this is challenged in the Supreme Court, because I am fairly certain that the Supreme Court in its wisdom might actually strike this down. For joining us, with your candid perspective, Mr. Pavan Dugal. Thank you very much. Appreciate this.